All right, so I'm here with
Keith Dahlby.
who is going to be a future Git MVP, right?
Yeah,
Should have never
something
said
like that.
that.
I'm gunning for
You're
it.
gunning for it.
I might have to start the program and nominate myself, but you know.
Hey, it's got to start
You
somewhere,
gotta
right?
start somewhere.
Yes, you do. All right. So speaking of Git, your first talk, which is today, was called "Not Said in a Southern Accent: Get More Done."
Correct.
Okay. So obviously you're talking about Git,
Mhm.
and you seem to have a real passion for Git. Why is that?
Well, so I've been using Git for going on 18 months now, and I've just found it to be, so the distributed model in general is interesting, just in the ability to work locally and then share your changes out and not have to use a single kind of source of truth. But more than that, I think the biggest influence it's had on me is in the local workflow, the ability to manage all the different threads that we have going on. You know, a spike for upgrading to .NET 4, or a spike for just trying out some new thing, MVC3 upgrade, whatever. Being able to do all of that within nice, local branches that are self-contained. Kind of pretending that I'm perfect is one of the things I talk about in the presentation, so that as I'm developing up a feature, I'll eventually get to the point where I have a nice clean series of commits that represent how I would have liked to have gotten to a solution in the first place. Because anything other than that, I really see as irrelevant. All we really care about is what eventually gets committed up into the repository and shared with everyone else. Anything up until that point, I don't need to share my dirty laundry. I just want to show you, my talks.
Pretend to be perfect. I use that sometime. That's a good one. So, what would you say with, because there's other DVC that
CS.
Yeah, that there's HG, there's Mercurial, there's Git. Actually, Veracity was.
They're making a new one.
Yeah, although that's not out yet, right?
No, and then there's Bazaar, which is written in Haskell, Bazaar is written in Haskell, and they're moving off. No, Darks is written in Haskell, and Haskell is moving to Git, which was kind of a big coup. Okay. And then there's Bazaar, which nobody really cares about.
Okay.
Except Bazaar users.
So would you say that out of all these that Git is not the one that's winning? Sorry, I didn't want Charlie scene. Never mind. I really did not want to say that. But would you say that's the one that probably people are gravitating more towards?
Well, I think different communities have different mind shares. So Google Code uses Mercurial. Codeplex uses Mercurial. The Python community has focused on Mercurial being a Python tool.
Mm-hmm.
But JavaScript, Ruby have more or less standardized on Git. There are certain factions within other communities that use Git. Of all of them, I still view Git as the most flexible.
Okay.
So even if just like there are some people that swear by TextMate, and there are some people that swear by Notepad++, but ultimately their VI and Emacs are just really powerful, and nothing else compares once you get to know the tool. And I view Git a lot in the same way.
Do you ever see something like TFS go into a distributed model?
They'll have an enterprise distributed edition, and it's going to try and copy things, and I don't expect it'll pull it off very well.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm pessimistic about that. I think if they were planning to do something like that, they wouldn't have gone Mercurial on Codeplex.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know. It'll be a while if we try.
So we'll switch gears to your second talk tomorrow, which is Dynamic.NET Demystified,
Yes.
which is really all about the DLR.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to start off in a negative footprint, whatever, which is the DLR. Well, it's not negative, but it came off as negative. The fact that the DLR, Iron Python, and Iron Ruby got dumped by Microsoft, but I think there's the positive result of it, which is now it's owned by the community. Mm-hmm. So what's your take on it? Well,
so first of all, the DLR is still around. It's in the .NET framework.
Right.
But essentially, Microsoft just pushed the Iron Python and Iron Ruby teams out to sea and said, we're not going to pay for you anymore. Mm-hmm. That they haven't kind of gone by the wayside. That they just released Iron Python 2.7 with full feature parity. That it hasn't died off, I think, is a tribute to that community.
We have to say the community and they being mono.
Yes.
Because they own all this now.
Yes, but so I don't know if it's only through mono that work has happened. I don't know exactly what's going on there. Mm-hmm. I still think there's a demand for it. I don't think Microsoft knew what to do with it. So it's probably better that Microsoft just said, we're not sure what to do with this, so why don't you guys run with it, because you're more into these. Static languages are their bread and butter.
Yeah.
mean, C# and VB are always going to be the kings of the hill. F# is still kind of research focused, and Microsoft still doesn't know how to sell that even. So
Although
for them,
it's in the box though.
it is in the box.
Yeah,
But I mean, I don't know. At Microsoft, I just don't think they knew what to do with them. So for them to let the community drive them, and wherever those end up, I think will be where they should end up. And if they die, then there's not enough interest to keep them going.
So what is the appeal to the DLR for a .NET developer that is, or I should say is probably influenced a lot by static languages like C#?
Yeah, so I think the big potential is, and so tomorrow I'm going to focus on a couple kind of projects that have come out of the woodworks, basically bringing dynamism to the C# language in ways that make sense. So kind of the canonical example there is data access. So we've got Microsoft, which released webmatrix.data, which is kind of a lightweight ORM type solution. Well, it's not even an ORM really, it's just kind of wrappers around the ADO.NET data readers and things.
Yep.
But pulling the stuff out is all done dynamically. So instead of doing a data reader and then the little square brackets and the column name and that sort of stuff, cast it out as some sort of integer, the dynamics, you just say, bring it out and do the casting automatically. And that I think is one of the key benefits. So you have fundamentally unstructured data in JSON, in XML, in SQL, in NoSQL. So if you can use the
And
dynamic
I've heard now the
stuff,
term co-SQL.
yeah,
Oh yeah, never mind.
mathematics is hard. So if you look at that as ways to say, all right, well, I have this fundamentally unstructured data, and all that stuff, we're not doing it statically typed anyway. We're using magic strings and we're using ORMs that do XML mapping and all that sort of stuff. And those are all just hacks.
Mm-hmm.
And so a more elegant hack, perhaps, would be to use one of these dynamic things, webmatrix.data, simple.data, Rob Comrie's massive project. Stack Overflow has one called Dapper,
Dapper,
or
yeah.
Dapple or something. All that sort of stuff as a way to simplify data access.
It makes your code smaller too, because
Yeah.
you don't have to do it like crazy.
Oh,
You just say
absolutely.
this and go.
Yeah, I mean, you might want to do maybe explicit transactions, but otherwise it's all just kind of run this query, give me back a dynamic list of things, and all the casting and type manipulation and stuff is taken care of you.
Okay.
Taken
Take care of you.
Yes. So that's one of the things I'm going to talk about. Another interesting example is the Clay project, which is
Yes.
part of Orchard CMS, which is basically Clay is a way to make dynamic shapes of objects that aren't statically typed, but can be used in interesting ways for arrays, for things with properties that you assign kind of on a whim. And so Clay uses that for all its modules and things, so that you can populate in the stuff and use it from your views without having to define static classes for all those objects.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Keith.
You bet.